Okay, so here you can see I've got all kinds of different different ones here made out of different gauges of wire. They all look a little different, and today we're going to be using 14 gauge wire. This one is made out of 14 gauge, and it's substantial and it's easy to work with, so that's going to be easy for us to do. This one is 12 gauge. It's heavier and it's hard to work with, but I think for your first time, I think the 14 gauge will be really nice. Here's brass. Brass wire is very stiff, so you're going to have a little difficulty no matter what gauge you use, but it's worth giving it a try if you like gold. This one and this one are 10 gauge, and this is what we made the Atlantic Waves bracelet out of. I suggest giving this a try after you've tried the other one, or if you are already used to doing it for the bracelet. Anything smaller than the 14 gauge is for smaller pendants. So you can use 16 gauge if you want, and that would make like an earring, right? You know, like that size. That's a good size for a small pendant, and 16 gauge. Like I said, we're going to be using 14 gauge. And this one's 14 gauge also. So I think this is going to work out really well for you for the first time. So let's go ahead and we're going to get started. Please forgive the bandages on my hand. I had a really stupid accident and I burnt myself kind of bad. So instead of being out of commission for too long, I figured I'll just bandage it up and suck it up and we'll get this video done. Now I'm going to use, I have about 28 inches of 14 gauge dead soft bare copper wire here, and you can see it's all kind of kinked up and whatnot. This was scrap wire that was given to me. Now you don't want to use your wire straighteners on thick wire like this because it'll just ruin them, and it really isn't very effective. So here's what you do. This is how you straighten out heavy gauge wire. I'm going to say 16 gauge and heavier. You're going to take your block, your rawhide or nylon mallet, and you're just going to start beating against the curves there and rolling it and get it so that you can pound out your little dings here. Kind of hard to keep this big piece rolling, but this is how you do it, and see how nicely that's straightening it out, and it doesn't ding up your wire and it doesn't flatten it. Because remember, we're using a rawhide mallet, which is softer than the metal we are working on, so we don't end up flattening it. Only metal against metal will flatten it. Now I probably have overkill of wire here, but I thought I would start off with 28 inches. To see what we end up with, and then we can judge it by there. I mean, use your own discretion. It's all like practice, right? I mean, you've got to work on some stuff, take notes, and okay. And I'm gonna try not to bang into my tripod and my lights and all that other stuff. Okay, so we'll get this out of the way. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna flush cut my ends, and I know I have overkill of wire here, but like I always say, I flush cut both ends because you never know, you might end up using it all, and that way your end is nice and clean and you don't have to worry about sacrificing any length anywhere. All right, so let's clean up our space here. All right, let's get started. Okay, so you can have a bail that is more towards the top, like that, or you can have one that sinks back more in the back of the pendant and it's hidden. So this one here is more hidden in the back, so when it lays you don't see your bail really, you just see the pendant. So that's preference. If that's the case, if you want to have it more towards the top, then you're just going to have your wire go around and cover it one time. If you want it more hidden, then you're going to go another round with your longer piece. This is just like the earrings. So if you already know how to make the earrings, you're going to know how to make this. It's just bigger wire and little bit harder to manipulate, but it's still doable. Okay, so we're going to go down. We're going to go down about 3 inches. 1, 2, yeah, about 3 inches. I'm going to take my heavy duty pliers and I'm going to put them back here towards the back side of the jaws. And that way we have a bigger loop, and it already begins our bigger centerpiece. Okay, so remember, now I'm going to be banging my wire into my apparatuses here. Okay, so we're going to take, and we're going to turn our plier one way, then we're going to take this side here, and we're going to bend that like so. And then this one's going to come around. Now remember, you can make this tight, you can make it close together. You know, we already see what this looks like, and we already know how to make it opened. You just bow your wire and let it go. I'm going to start off with it being really close together, and then I'm going to maybe bow it out in the end, just to give it a different look. We'll see what we end up with, okay? So this is going to come in like so, and I'm going to leave that there for the bail. Now my other wire is going to come around. So remember, I'm doing close. So I'm closing my spiral. And we're going to just overlap, come over that short piece there. I'm going to change the position of my pliers here. I'm going to push that back more so I can get that closer in. Hitting my light. All right, and now we're going to come in. Okay, so now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off, and I'm going to just hammer this a little bit with my rawhide mallet just to straighten it out and get everything lined up a little bit better. It's sort of a little bit wonky. So see, that just put everything back in place. Okay, so now I'm just going to use my fingers, and I'm just going to start making my bigger, my open spiral. So I'm just going to take my fingers, and I'm just going to start placing it. See how I'm holding it way out here? That helps soften that wire so you can actually put it where you would like it to be. And I'm directing this hand in and just sort of keeping this one still. Okay, so this is what I end up with. So you want your swirls to be going in this direction, and you want them centered and not wonky. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my plier and I'm going to place it with this facing how I want it, and now I'm going to start my waves. And I'm lining up my plier along the edge of my spiral here, and I'm just going to start. Just like the earrings, just like one side of the bracelet. Okay, now I'm going to start coming in. So I come in a little bit more further in so that we start to taper this down. And then I like to take these and we're going to squeeze these in because this will give you an idea of what it's going to look like after we hammer it. Okay, so then just judge how long you want it to be. This is what I would have left over for a spiral at the bottom. You could do a big spiral, small spiral, whatever you want. This 28 inches gave me a really nice amount to work with. Now, I have this spiral it's open on this side, which means that this side would be same. It would be going in the same direction, and I kind of want them to go in opposite directions. That's my dealio. You can do whatever you want. So I'm going to bring this in one more time. There we go. And I'm going to take, and I'm just going to give this a little bit of a hammer just to straighten everything out. Okay, now I'm going to make my spiral at the bottom. This is going to give me a generous spiral at the bottom, which I really like the way that looks. So to do our spiral, remember you have to envision where you want your spiral to land. So, and then you put your pliers, your round nose, right on top of your wire, and you turn your first loop. So when you turn your loop, you got to envision where that loop is going to turn. So if I want it to go up on the top, I need to make sure that my pliers are sitting right on top of my wire like that, perpendicular to it. If I go like this, then my loop is going to be coming on the side here, and that's something I'm going to have to fix. So that's how you figure out where you envision where you want your spiral to go. We want it to sit right on top of here, which means my pliers need to sit right on top of here to turn my first loop. So I'm going to support this. Now you can make this as big as you want, your first loop, or as small, but I'm going to start off small so I can have a lot of wire to make a generous spiral. Nothing hanging off the edges. You'll end up with an egg-shaped loop. So we want a really nice round loop. So I've got a good grip on this, and I'm going to just push down, pull back as I roll this. Okay, I'm not going to push my wire into that. So there's our first loop. Really nice round loop, okay? So now I'm just going to take it, and I'm going to try to roll this as much as I can with my round nose before I have to grab my flat nose. Okay, so there we have our spiral is starting. All right, so now I'm going to just come in here a little tighter. There we go. So now we're going to do our spiral. And this is heavy wire, right? So it's getting stiffer, but I'm just going to take my plier, hold it, I'm going to do this as far as I can. There we go. And now I'm just going to have to take my pliers and push it in there. There we go. Cool. What do you think? Let me pull this back some. There we go. I like that. That looks cool. We're going to do a little hammering on it, stiffen it up. Now you could make this just a simple loop, and then you could hang something off the bottom. You can do all kinds of different stuff with this. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do our bail now. Let's see, what do I want to do? We are going to take our, you know what, first we're going to take our flat nose, and I'm going to center it. So I want the edge, this edge here, in line with the center, and I want to make I want to turn it up like this. So we end up with something like that. And that looks like it's nicely in the center. And now I'm just going to turn it up like this. Okay, 90-degree angle. This is the difficult part. Well, I hate this part. I always mess it up. So don't feel bad if you mess it up, okay? Just take your time with it. All right, right now I'm going to hammer this. We're going to hammer our piece. Now you decide on what you want it to do. You know what I'm going to do? This is what I decide I'm going to do. I'm going to take my wire this way, and I'm going to bring it up like that. Straight up. All right, let's do that. Yeah, I think that will be easier. Now we can hammer this. We don't want to hammer on where this overlaps. We want to try to place this on our block, such as so that we don't really hammer on that, because what it does is it just weakens the wire. But we're going to hammer this bottom part here. So we're going to use our chasing hammer, and we're going to flatten it out. First I'm just going to pre-flatten it with my rawhide. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll get our chasing hammer, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to hammer this. Okay, so now we're going to start flat. I like to give it a nice little flat edge before I texturize it. So remember, you're holding your chasing hammer at the ball here, and you're just letting the weight of the hammer come down. You're not in there pushing it down. You're just letting the weight of the hammer fall on it. That will give you consistent blows and a more even surface in the end. And it's going to make it curl up. See how it's making it warp? We'll fix that. Okay, I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. This will help straighten it out. Okay, so that's what it does. It opens it up. We're going to have to fix that. So I like to fix it along the way. It's going to open up again, but we'll just fix it. Okay. Now, if you want to do this, we'll do this also. We just have to work around this part here. We can actually bend it. We can actually get it out of the way. Well, now I don't want to bend it. Let's just turn it over, and we'll flatten it from the back side. Okay, now I'm going to texturize it. And we're going to do that with the ball part of the chasing hammer. Little taps on the front side. You can't texture both sides, because if you go and texture the back, which why would you want to, but you will push out the texture that you put in on the front side. So little taps, and just look at what you're doing. See how the light dances off of it. And watch for spots that you missed. So can you see how the light is dancing off of that hammered finish? That looks really nice. It'll look really nice after we patina it also. All right, now I'm going to texture. What do I want to texture? Do I want to texture more? I'm going to texture around this, but I'm leaving this flat and plain. And I think I'm going to flare these out a little bit more. And to flare, you're just going to hit and smooth out, hit and smooth out. Watch your fingers. Hurts bad when you hit them. just do some adjusting and make it look pretty. All right, so now to do this, we have to maneuver this so it's off the edge. And I'm gonna just go around. You'll have to adjust it because it made it wonky and stuff, so you'll just have to manipulate it. Okay, there, look how pretty that is. Look how that dances off there. Okay, so now we're going to make our bail, and then we're going to patina it. Now, for the bail, what we could do is we could take a scrap piece of this wire and we can see how much wire. That would be the best thing to do, and then we could cut this to the length that we need. So let's take a piece of scrap. We're going to take a piece of scrap wire that we're using, and we're going to roll a loop, and then we're going to unwind it, and we're going to see how long that is. So we'll do that right now. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to make a measurement tool, like what I've shown. If you've seen my video on how to make a basic loop for the beginner, you make a measurement tool and it'll tell you exactly how much wire to cut off to turn your loop. This gets kind of tricky back here because things are in the way, you know, and I like to be a little bit more precise. So this is what we're going to do. We have a scrap piece of wire, same gauge as what we're using, and we've got our Sharpie, and what we're going to do is we're going to take the mandrel that we're going to be making our bail with, so whatever size you're going to be doing it, you want to use that, and we're just going to take, we flush cut the end, and we're going to roll a basic loop. Remember, nothing hanging off the edge here. And we're just going to roll ourselves. Remember, you're going to pull back with your wire there a bit because you really want it to hug, and we want to bring it in until it touches. Like that. And we've got a P. Now we're going to mark right where that touches. And we can do it on both sides. And just bring it around. I normally have a thicker marker, but I can't find mine, so look at this little teeny tiny fine point one. Okay, now we're going to unroll that and straighten it out. So I just support it and open it up with my round nose. See, it's a little wonky and bent, so we're going to take our block here and we're just going to straighten that out. Okay, now that tells me where my mark is. If you can see, it's right there. That tells me that's how much wire I need to make that loop. And now we're going to take our Sharpie again. And we're going to take the end of our marking tool, or I'm sorry, measurement tool, and we're going to line it up with the bend here. And we're going to mark our wire right where the mark is on our measurement tool. Now, that tells us how much wire we're going to need, and I can cut that, flush cut that end. All right, now when I roll my loop, it should work out perfectly. It should fit just perfect. So I'm going to take this, put it on my mandrel, Nothing hanging off the edge. That is flush with the mandrel itself. I'm going to support my work, and I'm going to push down and pull back. Oops. Ooh. These are a little chewed up, so. And I'm just going to roll this till I can't roll it anymore. I'm going to open it up, bring it this way, and I'm going to just bring it until it touches. Oh my gosh, look at that. That is perfect. So there, that works out really great. So now you just look at it and straighten it out and get it where it needs to be. Okay, we want it nice and centered. Okay, and just start manipulating your stuff. Just make sure that the bail is in place where it's supposed to be. And you can go ahead and smack it a little more and straighten it out. There, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Now listen, this could also be a Christmas ornament. You could tie a ribbon on the back of that. Wouldn't that be pretty? I think for an ornament, the top should be up on top there. Well, isn't that pretty? So now we're going to patina it. So you check out my video on how to patina. You should already know that if you've already made the earrings and the bracelet. And then we'll see what it looks like. Okay, there's our pendant, all done. Isn't that pretty? Don't you just love it? It's gorgeous. So there you go. Easy, easy, easy to do. Have fun with this. I hope you like this tutorial. I hope you'll subscribe. And my next one is going to be Christmas tree earrings, pendant, and a Christmas ornament. So check it out. Thank you so much. Have a fabulous day. Love you. See you. Bye.